be here.
I'm not the presenter. I'm not preempting him. Okay. so,
Hi everyone. Welcome to Seniors Hub. It's such a delight to have the Governor of the Central Bank, Governor Johnny Ohisa, with us here tonight or this evening. This is an evening with. We are at Seniors Hub. It's a youth and innovation hub. We host multiple thought leaders and various individuals from the country, especially to come and talk to the youth. And this month, the theme has been financial inclusion. And such a delight to have the governor here. So to start with, Governor, maybe for those who have never met you or don't know about the central bank, maybe in few words you can introduce you, tell us who you are, and the kind of work you do.
Okay, once again, it's good to be here. Actually, this is my first time to be here. And I'm so surprised that there's a place like this in Juba. I didn't imagine that there's a place like this. I give kudos to you young people for doing something like this. This is great. Okay. In short, my name's Johnny Ohisa Damian. I am currently the governor of Central Bank. Soon after graduation from my first degree, which was specialized in banking, I started working for Citibank in Khartoum. After Citibank was closed because of the American sanctions to Sudan, I went to Nairobi. From there, I was lucky to meet the chairman, John Garang. And with a group of other people, he wanted us to develop, to come out with a strategy for introducing a central bank for then the new Sudan. And what he said was that he wanted us to establish a commercial bank that will act as a central bank. Of course, this is not possible because a central bank, a commercial bank, a central bank cannot regulate itself while operating as a commercial bank and a central bank. So we told him that's not possible. So we came up with the idea of creating Nile Commercial Bank. That's how it came into being. And the rest is history. After that, I worked for some NGOs in Nairobi for some time. I went for my master's in UK where I did finance, development finance. When I came back, I joined the US government in USAID, where I worked in Nairobi. I went to Khartoum, I went to Kinshasa. I was working there until when I came back here. In 2012, because now there were changes, the new passport for the country was coming out after independence, I came to Juba with the idea of getting a new passport. I found the life here was different. I told them, let me go back, I resign and come back. And that is exactly what I did.
That's exactly.
Yes, and I have not regretted it ever since, So when I came back, I joined a certain commercial bank here, International Commercial Bank, as the deputy managing director. Later, I joined as a managing director. But before that, actually, we were the pioneers who established the central bank in South Sudan. Just when the peace agreement was signed, we had some trainings in East Africa and so many other places from the SPLM part. That's how we started. So to cut the story short, there was need for me to join the central bank once again. And when I joined the central bank in 2018? 2019, yeah. So that's very short. I joined as the Director General for Currency and Banking Operations. Was it last year? I became the first Deputy Governor. And this year, the Governor. That's just a very, very fast kind of move upwards.
Move upwards.
So basically, that's my life story, as it is now.
You're talking about like kind of John Garang almost started thinking about the banking and stuff. What kind of discussion were you having with him by then? Because people are in a war and what, and you people are thinking about banking, Like what nature of discussion happened during that time?
You know, in 2000, but of course we met earlier than that when he told us, you know, he could foresee things. He told us we're going to have a peace, and if we don't have a central bank, we'll not be able to, you know, start properly. So I want you guys, a group of us, to come out with this, with a plan of how we can start a central bank in South Sudan. Or if not, if that is not possible, let's start with a commercial bank that is aligned to the government, and that could be, because in Sudan there was Ivory Bank, which belonged to the government then. But also we need to come with a bank from the bush to once the peace agreement was signed. So that was in 90s there. Then in 2000, the prospects of peace was becoming a reality. And he called us, a group of us, you guys, you don't have to work, you go and start training for central bank. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So we went to Kenya School of Monetary Studies. That was our first, training that we had. And other people came after us, but we were the pioneers. And after that, we were asked to go to liberated areas, to Ye and Rumbek. But I couldn't continue with them because I had some personal issues that I needed to resolve. So these guys came without me, and when I came back here, they were still looking for me. Where are you? Why don't you come and join the setup? That's how I came back to the central bank. Yeah. So he was, John Gering was a visionary leader who saw things were going to happen, and really they did come to life. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk me through your process of the kind of life that you lived working in other organizations like USAID, Citibank, and all those. How did that feel, or what was the South Sudanese at the top of management in a lot of international organizations? What was the experience?
You know, the process when I graduated, of course, by then we were lucky that, you know, you are booked in advance. And Citibank booked us, maybe 3 of us. We joined them. I started at the lower level, started as a teller, started as an internal auditor, went to different departments. But because of the sanctions, I didn't want to stay. Also, there was now a lot of political issues with us who were working in Sudan during the conflict, and especially me, because I was in charge of some accounts that were considered by the government then as illegal, transferring money to the rebels. These were mostly accounts of South Sudan, Sudan Council of Churches by then, and New Sudan Council of Churches. They had money coming from outside, and a lot of transfers went to Nairobi. So they said these were going to rebels, you know. So political intimidation started, and that's how also Citibank came to end, and I was lucky to have traveled to Nairobi then. So, and then from there, I joined World Vision. We started working in the liberation areas. Also, you know, briefly went to Somalia, but yeah. So then after that, when I went to UK now for my master's, I couldn't stay there also. I had to come back to Africa because, you know, home is home. So wherever you are, whether you are somewhere, but Nairobi at least was near home. So it was good. So I started working again, but it was mostly when I joined USAID, I joined as a program analyst, whereby I analyzed the financials of the organization. After that, I became a contract specialist. Now, even approving money now for the NGOs, you know, NGOs could apply, we review the proposals, and we give them the loans, the funding if they were looking for funding there. After that, was when the peace agreement was signed, we went to Khartoum, where I worked there for 1 year. I came to Juba. I worked in Juba for 6 months. I went back to Nairobi, worked in Nairobi for 1 year. I went to Congo. Then 2012, independence actually got me in Congo. Then 2012, I came back. But before I went to Congo, I had to vote. you know. That was
You
good.
came back for the...
Yeah, I had to vote for the referendum, you know. It was one of the 99% votes was mine. So.
You know, do you have your card? You know, people keep it. I understand one day it will be needed.
I think I still do. I think I still do. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a lot of people are telling us, this card, one day in the future you want to go for something, they'll ask you, have you voted?
It is true. It's true.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to become a member of SPLM, now you have to show that you are really a member of SPLM before that. Yeah.
So, talk me through the kind of the transition in the banking sector in South Sudan, or even predating the South Sudan we know, like from 2005. You were involved in discussion with John Garang about establishing the central bank and even establishing the idea of banking in the new Sudan. What has been your view of the banking sector from that time until now? Which
you know, before, around, during the liberated areas, you know, we were printing our own money. Huh? We had money in the bush. I think some of you will certify that there was money.
Someone told me about the story of Kolmanyang. That Kolmanyang had this money.
Even if it had one serial number, all the money had one serial number. So, but I mean, at least we had money.
It had the same serial number.
One serial number, I'm telling you. So we had one serial number, but at least it was money.
How do you like, people were just printing it? Was it functional? Was it working? Like
no,
trading?
It was not people printing, but it was the movement that organized for the printing, and it was printed to be used in the in the liberated areas, and it was pegged mostly to East African currencies, Kenya shilling and Uganda shilling. So that was it. But of course, it was not acceptable in those countries. But you tried to say, okay, this is 100 pounds equals to this Ugandan shillings. You just try to, there was no monetary policy. There was nothing that could help, but it was there. People were dealing with it. You can buy food here, but you cannot go with it out. People in northern Bargazal could buy cows, An incident happened one time in Twitch. One of the guys, SRL secretary, he managed to get he managed to, print some money. I don't know how he did it. So he went to the market and bought a lot of cows. Unfortunately, it started raining, and the ink all went out from the money. So people were on his neck, and he could not run away. So
there and then.
Yeah, there and then. Yeah. But from 2005, I can tell you that we didn't have banks actually. The banks that were here were mostly North Sudanese banks, and they were mostly practicing Islamic banking.
Islamic banking,
yeah. So when Nile Commercial Bank came, the idea was to strengthen Nile Commercial Bank to make it a very strong bank, whether it's government-owned or to be very strong. But of course, the management, sometimes the capacity matters. Although we had attached it to Stambik then, but still, the management was not good, so it really didn't work out well. But
because Nile Commercial Bank started at a very high note. Actually, it
started in the liberated areas. Yeah, it came out with a lot of money. We had money. Yeah. A lot of people were putting money in there, buying shares, and up to now, you don't know how many shares you bought. I bought some shares, but I don't know how much they were worth now.
It did go down to some extent.
Yeah, it did go down until when SPLM came and bailed it out. So, but still, it's still struggling. Struggling, yeah. But, banks like this, we should have a policy. In Kenya before, KCB and Equity almost went down. In the 90s, they almost went down. It's the government that bailed them. And they changed the management until now they are very strong banks.
Yeah.
But in 2000, when the agreement was signed, all the banks from Sudan decided to withdraw because they didn't want to do conventional banking. They all, because our laws by then say, because people had that, idea of, we were fighting the Arabs and also want to use their banking system, nobody wanted it. So they all pull out. So we are left with a void now where foreign banks took their advantage, like KCB was the first bank to come, and they took the advantage. Later, Stambik then came with, because they were the bank to the government by then in Nairobi, they also came in. And then the other banks came in. Yeah, but there's been a lot of change in the way banks came up. But there was a mistake also we made because we started, licensing almost all the forex bureaus because we wanted to ensure that the locals have access to, they run the banks. But these people do not know how a bank is run. All that matters to them was that the exchanges there, the government used to allocate 7 million every week, so that's what they wanted. Now, when the government stopped allocating funds, they all went into trouble, and that's why some of the banks have to close down,
Were there many that closed down?
Yeah, some banks that closed down, yeah.
When you look at this, like right now, even when you look at Kenya, like the giants in Kenya are national banks. And I think also you can say to some extent also in Uganda. But in South Sudan, it's not the case. Like we don't, like the banks that someone can trust and have asset base, have different products, innovative, they are not national. In fact, the national banks are rarely brought in when such conversations are happening.
Yeah, it's true, and that's the most unfortunate part of it because we really wanted the local banks to, especially Nile Commercial Bank, because that's a bank that came from far away and it's supposed to have taken the helm of the banking sector here, And then also our policies really did not help local banks to improve because in Kenya, for example, I was working for USAID, we had a local bank inside the US Embassy doing business with that, but here no foreign embassy, no UN organization is transferring money through any local bank because they don't trust them, And that's the problem, and it's really, it's a lot of work for us that we need to do to ensure that the banking sector is reformed properly. And that's what we are going to embark on now.
Like, if you want to send some school fees for your kids or what, would you opt for a national bank or local bank?
There are some local, like Kush Bank. Kush Bank is a local bank, although the management, but it depends on the management,
Yeah.
If you are able to bring, I always give an example of Kush Bank as a local bank that has, I think, succeeded and crossed the barriers. But also we try to ensure that the board or who are in the board do not try to, affect the operation of the bank. There has to be independence of the bank. All they need to do is to be accountable to the board. But our local banks here, the shareholders and the board members are the ones who are spoiling it, They go and say, we want the money, give us this money. You have a lot of money, give us, I want to take it, this is my bank. So, but we're going to get them. We are going to get them sooner or later, especially in the new year. We are starting with the financial sector reform, and that is really, we're going to close some banks that are not really helping. Even if we leave a few banks, example of Egypt, there were about 500 banks, and they all closed some, and only I think about 60-something are working, So it's better for us to do that so that the financial sector will operate efficiently and do their job of intermediation.
Yeah, that comes back to your role as the central bank governor. Of course, you worked in the bank prior to this. To a layman, or to the people here, if you can explain what is the role of the central bank, because I think there is a misconception. I mean, a lot of people go to you there to ask for money. If you define to a normal person, what is your role? What is the role of the central bank?
A central bank in every country is first and foremost is the bank to the government and the financial institutions. We don't accept deposit from individuals. We are the bank for the government. We advise the government on, fiscal and monetary policies. And the main objective of the bank is to carry out monetary and price stability. That is the main function. There are others that, the central bank is the sole owner of the local currency for the economy. They are the ones who are authorized by act to print the money and distribute it. We are also, we are the lenders of last resort. If a bank fails, we try to look into it and see where the failure is. If it is because of liquidity issues and it has nothing to do with management and, oversight, we come to the aid of that bank to ensure that, and then we get a timeline when they will start restructuring and start, operating, functioning properly. So, in short, these are the main functions of the central bank. But the main one is really to ensure that, price stability is maintained. Price stability means that we have an FX rate that can be, that is not fluctuating just unnecessarily. We have monetary tools that we need to employ. There is, for example, a rise in exchange rate or what. And also we ensure that we can, we can foresee what kind of inflation is coming and do that. Yeah. So these are the main functions of the central bank. Yeah.
I mean, but like a lot of people really look at you in this function of the price stability more than anything else, more than oversight or not. And I think for some extent it's because the South Sudan market is largely dependent on
the cash economy.
Yeah, it's a cash economy, but also we import a lot of goods. Like everyone needs dollars, even the person who is selling rocks by the roadside or anywhere. So, like when you look at the pound, it used to be tame for some time. It came a time where it just went above everything. Over the last 1 year, it has been stable a bit, save for few. I mean, it changed from one point of stability to another one. When you look at the pound and the future of the pound, what do you see in it? The strength of this currency, and what do you hope for it?
Our hope is to stabilize that exchange rate and ensure that the pound is strong to the extent that people abandon the dollars. I worked in a country like Congo, where if you go to a market, you buy vegetables, you pay them dollars, they give you back change in dollars in the market, in the local woman in Congo. Theirs is more dollarized than ours even. And, it's just because also, but for our sake, our issue, when we came, we're lucky we had money. But we forgot that, there's always this oil that we are using. We said our main export will one day go down. At some point, it went up to $20, and we cannot even do that. So, we were unable to diversify our economy, despite the fact that this land is so rich to the extent that if we diversify, we use maybe not only, even not utilizing the other, resources that we have, but say we just go for agriculture and we make use of the cows, of the animals that we have, which are even 3 times the population of the people here. Yeah. If we can make use of these things, I think we can really ensure that our economy is strong. We can invest in all the necessary, like infrastructure, hospital, education, and all this. But now we're only relying on oil. And oil is very risky, Until when we decide to diversify our economy, we will not come out of this quagmire quickly.
But Governor, this is the point here where a lot of people probably don't speak like that. When you ask people about the issue of the dollar, they really look at it as in terms, are there dollars or there are no dollars? They don't go into like, okay, maybe we need to diversify our economy, fiscal policy. They say like, you're a banker, why are you talking about these things? Give us more dollars. Where do you think this misconception came from? Where the idea is that money is about money?
I think when the agreement was signed in 2005, and the way people, the salary structure was developed was actually pegged to $1, So you could say I was getting $500, but they give me an SSP then.
Yeah.
Okay. So this issue of dollar became ingrained in your head. You cannot even forget it. And now come the situation, the 2 unfortunate events we had, not only 2, even 3, when we stopped the oil, flow. Yeah. This one already affected our reserve. And now when the 2 conflicts came, it really just exacerbated the whole thing. So people, what they think about is just only dollars now. They don't think of any other currency. Nobody's even thinking of a euro. And luckily, we don't even have 1 single euro in the bank. 1 sterling pound. All people are talking of dollars. So what is the use of having euros?
So you're like, no need for it. Yeah. Despite the fact that the euro, there is a time, now it's low, but there is a time the euro was very, very higher than the dollar.
Before, I think in 2011, 2012, you could get any currency you wanted at the central bank. Sterling, euros, and all this, And then people by then only knew dollars. They were not, nobody was paying attention to the euro. But later, you know, people became clever also. They found that, oh,
Governor, let
euro
me
is
ask you this. This is a very interesting question I've been having. This issue of the dollar, you know, here, if a dollar has a small ink, even a small scrimmage at the end, they say, no, we don't accept it. Are you the one who's telling them that?
No, it's not us. Because it's not only here, by the way. I experienced that one also in Congo.
In Congo also?
Yeah, if any stain on a dollar is not accepted, you know. But if you go to Uganda, they accept it. You go to Kenya, they accept it.
So it is just something that we...
It's just, you know, people, maybe a country where, a country that has gone through a lot of difficult issues, because also it's, the market people are the one who decide whether to accept it or not.
Yeah.
And they say, no, we don't want this because other people don't want it. So they just refuse to accept any stain on a dollar or any small tear on a dollar, yeah. But you go with it to US, it's acceptable.
It's acceptable there. You've had discussion about your strategic plan and your strategic policy, I think from 2023 to 2027 or so. I wanted you to just talk a little bit about that and what are the pillars of this strategic plan and some of the key points that you have on that.
Yeah. You know, our strategic plan, I think the strategic plan is still in a draft form, which has not been finalized. It's 2023, 2027. This is the second strategic plan we had. The one that just ended in 2022 was a very great success, because, although we did not, because that was the first of its kind to develop a strategic plan. People did not own it. The staff didn't own it. People just thought, oh, this is management tool, we don't want to. But this time we tried to ensure that everybody feels that he's part and parcel of that strategic plan. By whatever your position is, you have a role to play in that, you contribute to that plan. So, you know, it's anchored actually on 5 pillars. You know? One is that we need to have the stakeholders confident. By stakeholders, I mean, you know, we have banks, we have governments, we have all these, you know, people. A lot of people lost, trust in the central bank because of so many things that happened. 2015, the government took the money from commercial bank and never paid them. And so that's why at that time we ran out of SSP. When you go to a commercial bank, they will tell you, no, we don't have money. So people decided to say, okay, why do I keep my money in the bank if I don't have that? So based on that, we try to ensure that we start encouraging people that the commercial banks are okay, the banks are okay. The central bank is strong. It has enough reserve local money. If you want it, you can get it at any time. Dollars, this is not our currency, although we are trying to ensure that people accept really the pound as our local currency. But still, it's not a thing that you can do it within a minute. You have to ensure that you go through a process. Either you make, there was a time, as you said correctly, that the pound became stronger. And I had a story that in one of the security firms, they were paying stuff in dollars, $100 each. At that point, now the pound became stronger, and that $100 was bringing you less pounds now. They almost beat the managing director that they want their money to be paid in dollars. You know? That's because the pound, you know, appreciated against the dollar. But these are, you know, things that we need to ensure that people should really accept the pound as a currency of a nation. This is sovereign currency. So, but we are, in our strategic plan, we try to ensure that the stakeholders have confidence in the banks. Not only central bank, but because we oversee all the other banks, we try to make sure that the banks are strong and really, you know, do their role of intermediation by giving loans, and that's what we're going to start next year with commercial bank. They have to ensure that they are going to give loans to anybody who wants loans. Secondly, we also, you know, our second pillar is the financial sector and payment system development. With the help of the World Bank, we have started doing some financial sector reforms, which will be implemented next year. And again, with the help of the African Development Bank, through the East African community, we are developing a national payment system. This is, I think, if it goes out, if it goes live next year, it will be the biggest achievement, because the national payment system ensures that any money that comes into South Sudan is known, and any money that goes out is also known. Currently, in our statistics department, we don't have a report that how much, we don't know how much money comes to the country. And we don't know how much money goes to out of the country.
Because to be clear, right now, if a local bank wants, if I want to do a SWIFT from a cooperative to EcoBank, it has to go international, right? At the current...
Yes, it has to go at the current internationally. But once we go live with the national payment system, we will be connected to the East African payment system.
Yeah.
We are the only country, okay, Congo came last. We are the only country in Congo that are not yet connected to the East African payment system. But we are already in the process. We have developed the legal framework, and we are soon announcing for the, purchase of the automatic clearing house, so that everything will be cleared automatically. Checks, and transfers are all cleared automatically, and all the banks will have to be linked, so we will know any transaction that each bank passes.
Again, not to belabor the point, like right now, if I transfer money, so without the automatic clearing, do banks carry the money physically to other banks, or?
No, we had currently, okay, there is local currency clearing is going on.
Yeah.
But the foreign currency clearing was stopped at some point because there was a lot of malpractices within, especially our local banks. Somebody writes a check to you and there's no money in the account. You take to the clearing house, found, and then that's now, a lot of banks decided to say, no. I remember when I was the first deputy, I got a letter from the Bankers Association that they want to start clearing foreign currency. But also, after we gave the approval, they started fighting among themselves. Up to now, it's not yet, but now we are going to take over. So, that is actually the main issue. The issue of trust among banks is not there. But once a national payment is done, you cannot even write a check when you don't have anything. That one can be flagged out immediately. So that's a great achievement. We have trained our staff a lot on this and visited countries all over East Africa. We've really gotten support from the East African community. Our sister central banks have really helped us a lot to ensure that we are part and parcel of the East African community. Now the third, we have, I forgot, the second one was price and monetary stability, of course, where we want to ensure that the inflation is brought under control and, exchange rate is managed to the extent, not necessarily through auction, but there are also other tools that we are developing to ensure that we also, one of them is already rolled out, which is the term deposit, which is mopping out money. And now I've heard from people asking their banks, can you invest in that? Term deposit is, you put in money, you get interest rate for, 28 days, 1 month, 3 months, and then you're paid interest. It's very common in Kenya.
It's like a bond, or?
No, it's not a bond. It's more like treasury bills.
Like treasury bills.
But treasury bills are the originators of Ministry of Finance, but here we tried that one before and the government defaulted.
Oh.
The government defaulted, they didn't pay. We ended up paying the banks, But
okay, wait, the government defaulted on the government?
No, when we were issuing treasury bills on behalf of the government.
On behalf of the government. So the government is supposed to pay the people who are buying it?
Yeah, the government now, the interest, the calculated interest we agreed upon, I'm supposed to pay you that.
Yes.
And then the principle, when you're in problems, you can sell your... But then, by then, the government, because they didn't have money, they started rolling out without even permission. Now, your 3 months expires, they renew it for another 3 months. So that was the problem we had. And now, when we said, okay, they wanted, because treasury bills is also a way of the government borrowing from the commercial banks.
Or from individuals also who have the money.
Who happen to invest in treasury bills.
Yeah.
So for us to start to bring that confidence, as I mentioned, one of our pillars is for us now to start with term deposit, which is a central bank initiative. And we have really done well because we have been paying the interest.
Yeah.
We are losing, but we are paying the interest. But that's the cost we have to pay for, for monetary policy tool,
But Governor, now when you hear such stories like the government defaulting, there are issues with our local banks not be able, some people would say like, you guys are not serious. If someone says that, what do you reply to them?
Yeah, but people have the right to think of anything they want to think. But what you need to do is to ensure that that person, how do I bring that person who doesn't have trust in me? How do I ensure that he trusts me now? Okay, by what I'm doing, by providing proper laws, friendly laws, and also we try to engage them. And we try to ask them for any comments they think is not right. We have a box that is meant for that. If you're not happy with any service, that's why, like the first stakeholders confidence is, we send normally, questionnaires to commercial banks and government institutions, asking them to rate us. How do they, during the year, what do they experience? Are we doing well? We try to correct on that. So this is, now we are, it's a kind of damage control, but we are trying to manage it to ensure that people have confidence in their financial institutions and start banking with people instead of keeping money in their houses. And, banks start working, doing the job they're supposed to do. Yeah. So the fourth one is what we call the operational and service excellence, which is digital transformation. And I'm really happy that you guys are starting here. I didn't know that you guys this is an innovative hub. I didn't know that. Thank you for inviting me. And now I know that if we want to, we are doing research in central bank digital currencies, and I think you guys can help us in all this.
Yeah, for sure.
So these are areas we're looking at. Not only that, we're looking at other digital transformation. How can we digitalize this economy by ensuring that all the services are available at, just in your hand, and you can transact without any difficulty. The last one is institutional transformation. We are trying to ensure that we become a bank that builds the capacity of our staff, and we do that. We do build the capacity of our staff. We send our staff for training all throughout the year. I think Central Bank is the only institution that has really trained its staff properly. Not even the other regional bodies are doing that, but we're sending people for trainings. We're sending people for attachment to other banks to ensure that they come out with, when they come from there, they come with new ideas that we need to implement.
Are you seeing, because training is one thing, are you seeing that training producing some change?
Yeah, it's true, although it's not much, but it's really contributing. There are a lot of people who came out with, from these trainings with so many good ideas that we try to incorporate in our operational, duties and all this. Because in the end, we really want to ensure that everybody, the capacity of that person, the other time I was complaining to Firaz because they took one of my staff.
Oh,
because we trained that guy, now they took it. IMF also took one of my staff. So I was all the time quarreling with them. I said, we can't be training for you, these guys, and you take them.
And you take them.
So this is, but also we feel that giving them this kind of people is good for us because we know they are going to make us proud.
And enhance the relationship.
Enhance their achievement. That, who knows, maybe sooner or later there will be international stuff and they could be able to help the country. So
how, in terms of age, is the bank young or old?
In
terms of the staff?
The staff, I think it's 75%, if I'm not mistaken. 75% are young people. And we are recruiting some 94. We all want young people.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, we are recruiting 94 staff in all fields. So that we can, harness that, youth vigor that needs to be put in work.
I'm going to kind of open it up for questions, but before I kind of allow that open for question, I mean, I want to ask you the question about the incident of last week. It was all over the news. People are saying some people wanted to rob the central bank. We were like, okay, if people are robbing central bank, what will happen to us?
You see, that's really something. You know, when I got it in the social media, it's like, oh, some people started calling me from the U.S. Are you safe? I was not even near the vicinity of the bank, and I think he was there. I was somewhere else. People were calling, and I had to rush from where I am to the bank, only to find that this incident really happened outside the bank. These guys were followed from the Ministry of Petroleum, and they didn't know that they were being followed. It's only when they crossed, trying to go to Gabat or something, is when a car that was, you know, we have all the CCTV footages that can show you that. It's taken from even before, from the time it turned out from the Equity Bank there all the way to this, we have the footages to show that. And how this bank went and overtook it and stopped them, and they started shooting, you know. So, and then these people started shooting, and our security forces also came and started helping. But it didn't have anything to do with the bank. It was not in the bank. So rest assured, the bank is fortified. Nobody can try that. Don't make a mistake of trying that.
No one can try at the bank. But probably a broader theme on that. The issues of like, and you're talking about cashless economy and what the issues of theft has become so much rampant in this. People leave the bank, someone follows them, things like that. Are those discussions that you have with your staff, or with your management team, over like how do we deal with such issues?
Yeah, we do have discussion on that. It's not only on the bank, because we found that most of the incidences that took place, people are followed from commercial bank. And we are trying to ask this commercial bank, there are insiders who revealed this, so-and-so has cashed his money, and just follow. And these are actually the incidents that happen. We'll soon try to get this commercial bank to also ensure that they vet their staff properly. And if there is need also, they should take the phones out from people when they're working, you know. I think in some institution, the phones are taken away. You cannot use the phone when you're working. You only get your phone when it's lunch hour or something, but before that, you're not. I think those are, we'll try to work with the Bankers Association to ensure that we also get, you know, so that people are confident that when they go to bank, they are not robbed. You don't feel secure when you're getting out of the bank.
Yeah. Out of the bank, yeah.
But these are discussions we're having all the time. You know, we talk, how do we improve security, even in the bank, our bank, although it is fortified, but how do we improve the security? Do we have to ensure that we clear all the roads, all the motorbikes around the bank?
And that's something, to be honest, I feel a bit worried about. I mean, I wouldn't mention the banks, but there's some banks here, as you're entering the bank, as if the whole hill is looking at you. There is a Tisali, someone here. There is another border guy. Yeah. There is one person selling handkerchiefs. It's. I think that's, someone needs to have a bit of. There should be a bit of clarity outside there.
Yeah, and these are mostly informants. You know, they're just sitting there watching who is coming out and who's going out. And even if you get into border on a border, you have some people who they organize with, and they come and grab your bag, and you know, you have nothing to. So these are, you know, issues that we need to tackle at a higher level, because some of them will say we are here because they are business people are coming to bank, we bring them and they told us to wait, you know. So we have to find a way of how to deal with that.
Intercooperation, just as we, you interact with so many institutions, including the security service, you interact with NRA, which I think probably one of the Ministry of Finance. What are some of the interoperabilities that you have to deal with? I know NRA has been pumping, trying to increase non-oil revenues, the Ministry of Finance doing policy and other work. Maybe you can just discuss a bit of these interoperabilities.
You know, currently we don't have any interoperability, but you know, among the development that we are working on, not only the national payment, we're also developing a national switch that will make even all the telephone companies, you know, join. Interoperability will then be once we establish the national switch. and this one is coming also soon. The national switch is so important that all the interoperability of everything, even what NRA is using now, will all be part of the national switch. Any transaction that you do will go through the national switch. Yeah. So this is in the process. It will also come next year, hopefully. I hope next year will be a year that will really now the country will, would have, turn around and try to move away from cash.
Okay, Governor, a bit of a tricky question. Do you watch SSBC a lot?
I do.
Okay, do you at times watch it with a bit of like, okay, maybe my name might be called or something like that?
I know what you're aiming at. Yeah, it's true. When I watch the news, not always, but I do watch when there are some important events that I need to watch. But of course, that one is there. You can't, if you are, I hear other people at 8 o'clock, the children run to their father, Daddy, it's 8 o'clock, it's the time for news. Maybe your daddy's name will be called there. So, yeah, it's true, I do watch, but not on that basis. If it comes, it comes. But, yeah, that is, we are professionals, we are not after positions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's such a delight really having the governor here. I understand there is a youthful audience here. We have members of parliament, we have bankers, we have professionals. So I'll open it up for questions. Our video people can tell me where the questions are from here. Okay, let's just have it. We can have the mic moving around. Okay, good. So you just raise your hand and then you can tell us your name and what you do and then you ask your question. Again, just like I did with the World Bank and also the African Development Bank, if you have proposals, you can talk to him in private. We'll take questions and then we can. I'll have the Honorable Member of Parliament. Then I'll come to you, Lulhog.
I hope they are good proposals, not asking for money. Huh?
Some people online were telling me, can we ask him some dollars for Christmas?
Yeah, we have bad behavior here. During Christmas, everybody rushes to you to ask for help. But this is something we need to change.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have the mic. Just your name and then your question.
Malekok, Member of Parliament and the Chairperson of Federal Soccer Affairs Committee. I have 3 questions. One question is, what are the policy now you are working on to control the inflation rate of South Sudanese pounds against the US dollar? Second, why it is very difficult for the central bank not to allow the equal opportunity to hold South Sudanese citizens to access the foreign currency in the central bank. And the third is, what trigger the continuous change of the governors in the central bank, not allowing them an ample time to implement what they were appointed for? Because 2 months, 3 months, there is nothing, you cannot do anything. Because the change is always realized after a couple of time, like 1 year and something. That is where your failure can be realized or you are succeeding. Because I will not get a time, I'm very happy for the invitation from Animo, and I'm very thankful for the youth hubs of creating this vibrant, innovative, and I think having a member of parliament as a policy makers, it could be good for us on how we can help the central bank, because we are the policy makers, in how the policies can be done in line of the exchange rate, because there should be a standard and a constant exchange rate that can be done and can be passed by we, the legislators. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You said you are in which committee?
Malekuk, I'm a chairperson committee on federal affairs.
Federal affairs, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable. You asked, your first question was, what are the policies we are putting in place to control inflation? There is a dilemma here. When you target inflation, you forgo development. But of course, here we don't have development. There's no development going. We also, there are so many tools that can help us in, controlling inflation. But now, we have a lot of issues now going on. We have the Ukraine war. We have, the Ukraine war has really affected even the US government to the extent that it has raised its interest rate. Before the US government interest rate was 0.0 something, but now it's 4.5%. European Union has raised their interest rate to 7.5%. And these are affecting, because what they're trying to control inflation, They're raising the interest rate so that a lot of people can go in and, foreign direct investment can go into the country. For us, a country like us, we only rely on oil, We have been affected also, not only by Ukraine war, but we have been affected by the floods, The floods had shut down a lot of production sites in the oil fields. That has really resulted in the reduction of the reserve that normally, the money we get from oil, despite the fact that the oil prices is very good compared to other years. And then don't also forget that we are an import-dependent country. The money we get from oil, we use it to import food, we use it to import oil products, we use it to import so many things, medicine and that. What we should have done is that we should have built a refinery. We have a refinery, but it's already flooded. It cannot even produce, So now we are unable even to bring, even now this Jetco power we are using now, they are supposed to use heavy oil from the oil fields, but they cannot even access it. And these are all the factors that affect us, raising the prices of food internationally has also affected us because the US currency is not our money, and whatever they do also affect us. And these are all the issues that, but all the countries, including Kenya, if you go to Kenya now, what's the exchange rate? If you go to Kenya now, it's over
120 something.
It's actually, in fact, it's 130.
130.
There's already a
Wow.
black market in Kenya. If you go now, you go to, that market, you get it 130, just because of inflation, because of the prices of commodities, fuel going up and everything else. All the countries are, trying to control the inflation, but to a certain level it's not possible. Recently I attended Financial Stability Board in Kenya, the Central Bank Governors of the Sub-Saharan Africa, which was chaired by the Reserve Bank of South Africa and the Bank of Ghana, jointly chaired. Ghana could not come because there was a lot of issues. Inflation was going high. The exchange rate was skyrocketing. When I went to Ghana last year, I remember I could exchange $1 to a cedi. A cedi was about, I think, 7 cedis to $1. Now it's 14. That one it made them unable to come even for that meeting, So these are the factors now that are affecting all the countries. Inflation is not only in South Sudan, but here. But you're right that how do we try to mitigate it, I've been saying before, if we are able to diversify our economy, we produce our own food, we don't import from outside. We refine our oil here, we use the produce and others, we can use that. We can, cover a lot of this. We can stabilize our currency. We can ensure that the pound will even be stronger to the extent, maybe it might not go to 3.16, but it could go to 100, 200, 300. That's in itself is an achievement. And we are hoping that will happen.
Do you, like when you speak to your line minister or probably some of the policymakers about this, diversifying our economy, producing food, refining our own oil, do people listen? Do you feel that there is political will and there is an ear for this kind of discussion?
People do speak, everybody is talking that we need to diversify our economy, but however, that political will sometimes is a problem, But how do we diversify? Okay, at least now, for me, I was saying, one time John Gereng was telling us, for his priorities infrastructure. First priority is infrastructure, second infrastructure, third infrastructure. Now I see, the Juba Bor Road has really transformed that road. I was even telling the IMF guys, you know, you guys, we might have a lot of issues with how the road was built, but look at how it changed the narratives. People are moving near the road, people are growing their vegetables, they are doing what, and you can sell it there. Now Terkeka Road is another one, you know. If we can really develop the roads and ensure that the producing areas are really accessible, we will not be able to import any food from anywhere. Secondly, you said, why is it difficult for South Sudanese to access foreign currency? Why in the central bank? Central bank, we don't give currency to individuals. We do auction, and you're supposed to go to a commercial bank and get it. A lot of people don't understand that. But we are talking to commercial. So many people came to me. I told them, you go to a commercial bank, ask that I need some money. If they refuse, come to me. Even those who want to import these items, they come to me and ask that we need. I said, no, you go to a commercial bank. And I had to tell commercial bank, this money we're giving you is meant for those people who want to import, commodities, import the container, import. This is what we meant, We are developing a strategy. If our reserve improves, we want to target these big companies because they are the ones that really go to the market and buy all the dollars at any rate. So if we can target them, currently we're working with JETCO and see what are their needs on a monthly basis so that they don't go to the market. We go to MTN, we go to Zain, M-Groups and ask them, Gemtel, what are their requirements on a monthly basis. If we can avail that, we would have really reduced them from going to buy dollars in the market and increase the exchange rate.
Governor, do you get a lot of such requests? Do people show up to your office for a lot of strange requests?
So many.
Someone wants to travel for sickness, someone wants to...
Yeah, they do. And I tell them, you go to commercial banks now. Because before, what used to happen was that before we really, unified our exchange rate, people used to come, you get at the bank, maybe at the rate of 200, you go to the market, sell it at 500. You have not lost anything, you just got, So we ensure that we get that one out of the way. Now, if you come to a bank and you want to get money, you will even pay more than going to a commercial bank. Because by the time you are withdrawing, we are taking 1% from you. Commercial bank will take 1% from you. So now these are 2%, Now, so what rate are you going to sell it at? If we tell you, okay, we are selling at 650, your bank comes and takes that money from us, and then we deduct 1% of that money. Yeah. Commercial bank will also deduct 1 or 2%. Some of them are deducting 2%. So you will end up paying even more than the black market rate. And so, like that, we have really discouraged a lot of people who have really tried to do that.
Yeah. I think the third question is on...
The third question was why change is happening so rapidly in the central bank. You don't last even like... That's a political decision. I can't do that. I can't talk on that. It's you parliamentarians now to decide, because I'm an advocate that, you are the ones actually to identify the person you want, whether a governor or minister or what. There is always, when parliament, but by then you also, for now, you guys are not elected, so you don't even have that voice. Wait until when you're elected, and then you come out with this policy and say, now this is what we want to do. Yeah.
Okay, I think there was a hand here. Yes, Duot. Let's have the mic there. Please, let's reduce it to one question. I don't want to be unfair to other people. Just have one question and make it concise.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Duot. I'm a lawyer. Duot. Yeah. I'm a lawyer as well as a teacher. One is a clarity, and I'm glad that you've been involved from the beginning up to this far. And I get to understand that the central bank is not limited to just dealing with financial regulations. It can actually also engage in business itself. And this brings me to Nile Petroleum, Nile Pet. I get to understand that during its establishment, it was a company to call it so, established by the Central Bank of South Sudan and the Ministry of Finance, in which they shared the shares. Now we've seen that that has shifted. And it's basically controlled now in some offices that I will not mention. How did that happen? Was it initially created to regulate? Because one of the problems we have, which is actually all the problem we have in South Sudan, is the issue of oil. If we can regulate oil, we can control dollar. That is basic math, I think. And now that has shifted. In the beginning, was it created by the two? And how did that change? That's something I wanted clarity on. And then two, what is stopping the central bank from controlling the prices in the market, because it also had that mandate? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. There was a hand there also. Just probably we can hand the mic to the gentleman at the far, then we'll bring it. Okay, then we'll come here. We'll come to this side. We'll take 3 questions and then we'll come there.
My name's Abram. I'm an entrepreneur. So Abram Dole, entrepreneur. So I understand, as part of the EAC economic integrations, I think which fall within the EAC, national payment system that you talked about, and also part of the AU Agenda 2060. There are plans to come up with a common EAC currency, which South Sudan is also part of it. So as central bank, are there any such plan, from the central bank to also kind of integrate in the EAC common currency? And, how will that affect the South Sudan, economic development going forward in the next 10 years, 20 years? So maybe you can just clarify on that. Thanks.
Just like that. I want the questions like that, like the gentleman. Okay, give this the guy in blue, and then when we come here, we'll take the question.
Hello, my name is Boy Moses. I'm a student. So my question,
Your name again?
Boy Moses.
Boy Moses.
Yes. So my question is the central bank allowed to publish some of its documents, like the financial reports, all that to the public, maybe for accountability, trust, for research? So I just want to know that.
So we'll allow the governor to answer these set of questions.
Thank you very much. I forgot one thing. I just wanted to tell the honorable member that we met with the committee in charge of finance and banking, and I really had a very good support from them, and I'm really so thankful for the response that you guys are giving us. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you. Now coming to the question of Duot? Yeah. You say central bank engages in business. It's not allowed in the Act. We are not engaging in business. And one thing I need to clarify, were you talking of Nile Commercial Bank, or were you NilePed? NilePed was never created by central bank. NilePed is created by Ministry of Petroleum to be the arm of the government. If you go, for example, to say, for example, China, CMPC is a government arm.
Yeah, same like Petronas for
Petronas is for Malaysia.
Yeah.
You go to UAE, they have also that. NilePed is supposed to be that, but it's not. Central bank was never played any role in that. So
but when he says it is supposed to, is it?
No, it's not supposed to.
No, I mean like NilePed itself.
NilePed is supposed to do what?
It's supposed to be the Petronas of South Sudan.
It's supposed to be the Petronas of South Sudan. It's true, it's supposed to be the Petronas of South Sudan. But also, the same challenges we are facing, they're also facing. But, they should have been more prudent in really engaging these petroleum companies, oil companies, and ensure that they take the upper share, and be ready to take over when these companies, like now, we are hearing Petronas is pulling out. So what is NilePed doing? Yeah. Petronas is negotiating with a company, Savannah, a British company, without the government, without NilePed even knowing. Is that really, something good? They should be involved in that. They should be involved in the negotiation with Petronas and ensure that whether Petronas leaves it to them or they approve the new company that's coming take over. Yeah. So those are the clarifications I want to make. And the second one about the control of prices. We only provide foreign exchange. There are many other agencies that are in charge, like the Ministry of Trade and Commerce. That's their role. Juba City Council is their role, even if they lock shops and do this, but that's their role even of controlling the market, you know. And then we have also security organs that are in charge of that. So our role is just to ensure that we have reserve to enable the market to operate efficiently. Whether, you know, on our part, we are doing what we can by auctioning this forex to ensure that the prices are down, but it's not, and this is not the only way. There are other ways, there are other institutions that are supposed to be involved in also helping. We should be working together with these agencies, you know. But still, you know, here you agree on something, you don't get what you want. So, yeah. Boy was asking about, what did you ask? Sorry, I didn't.
There was a question about the monetary, the
The
monetary union. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when the East African community was formed, I think it was in 2013 that the idea was floated out of coming out with a single currency in 2013. And this was supposed to happen within 10 years. So 2013, it was supposed to be 2023. By now, we should have come with one currency. But before we get into one currency, there are so many other things to be done. You know, we have to, first of all, harmonize our laws. We have to ensure that our payment system are the same, connected together. We have to ensure that our regulatory frameworks are together with all the other East African countries. And after all harmonizing all our laws, then we create a central bank, East African Central Bank. And after that, each country will now be allowed, given time of how you can now join. I think the EU did that, and how the other countries, even despite the fact that so many countries were at different levels of development, they were able to take it, but that's other things also that needs to be worked on.
Governor, if that happens, so if like tomorrow we have a monetary union, like, do you think South Sudan will be kind of the Germany or the Greece of?
If we utilize our resources, we'll even be more than Germany.
we'll be like.
I mean, this country is rich. You can't deny that, you know. But if we are able to put it correctly, if we use it properly, it would even be more than we'll be the best country in the whole of East Africa region. There's always advantage in having a group, you know. Now from for a population of about 12 million, this is nothing. But now you are in the big fish with the big fish. Congo is, I don't know how many, you're now a population of over 100 million. That in itself is, gives you power to negotiate on things as one union, you know. So if we're able to unite, although we are united, but we have not really harmonized all our laws. Even now, South Sudan is still lagging behind with the issue of East African passport, you know, which is supposed to be rolled out like any other countries. I saw they have now the plan, but I don't know when they will roll it out, but it's there. Congo is next.
I mean, Governor, we need to be able to get our passports right now. It is so hard to get the current one, the South Sudanese one. I hope the East African one will make it easier.
I think they're working on it. Interacted with the Director of Nationality and Passport, and assured me that they have now the stock. They were just waiting for approval from the President, I think, which they got. But also now they have to negotiate with the company that is printing that for them to be able to roll it out, which will probably be next year. Yeah. So next year you'll all be using East African passport.
Hey, I'm all for that. There was a the last question here, there was a question on transparency by Boy.
What was the question about?
He was asking, do you publish the reports? And
have you tried to access our website?
Access it, please.
We have our financial resource. Now, the latest we are going to publish is the 2021, is it 2021 or 2020? 2021 audited financials. We are the only institution in the government that audits its accounts. And we are up to date. And that's also a requirement from the IMF, but still, you know, other institutions are not doing that. But, you know, whenever we meet with these international organizations like IMF, IFC, all these, we are the most organized one, given, you know, the situation we're in. I think we are the most organized one.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we'll take questions from this end. You can hand the mic to Lulok. Yeah. Before the governor security wrap you up.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Lulhok, student. Yeah, Lulhok. Yeah. Thank you for coming to. I'm a student. I'm the chairman of Jobless Youth of South Sudan. Yeah. Thank you for coming to our hub. And my question is, it's kind of a story. You know, in 2012, I can remember when I was a student in Nile Model, me and my two other friends used to have a budget, 10 SSV. And that during the break time, we can use that to buy, because, you know, soda, that's more can, it used to be 2 pounds. And then for a cake is one pounds. So for each of us is 3. Then I mean 3, it's 9. Then we remain with, you know, 1 pounds. Then we can, you know, maybe if we have someone else, we can help with it. So my question, do you think we will ever go back to that, you know, to 2012 where, you know, 10 pounds or something? Or I can just forget thinking about it and leave the current? Thank you.
Good evening, Governor. My name is Chirbek. I'm a talk show host, like my brother here. I was actually looking forward to come and snatch you from your office so that I ask you all these questions. But I'm going to spare them until you come to my show, which is called Beledna Show. No. Thank you so much. My question will be one, especially on the investment climate in terms of what the central bank can give. In other countries, the central bank give treasury bonds, where you go, where the central bank borrows money from the public and at a certain rate, but then there is a surety that the government will pay at a certain interest rate. So that will mean if this was here, a Janubi who has excess money of 10,000 SSP maybe, instead of me keeping it under my bed, I will go to the central bank, buy a treasury bond, and in about 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, depending on the what the terms are, I'll be able to get back my 10,000 plus the interest. This is not happening here, or maybe it is because I came late. So I would like to understand what the central bank is doing to encourage investment so that we don't keep our money under the bed, or, you know, where we can put it and get money back in return. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for giving the opportunity. Call me Manuel Taban. Well, thank you for giving the opportunity. Call me Manuel Taban George, from private sector and entrepreneur. My question goes direct to Governor on policies of registering forex bureaus. You know, it is 16 years down the road. We have been chasing to register our own forex bureau with the bank, but we have been told that the board have make a decision that there's no more registration of forex bureaus, neither microfinance institutions. And it has been 15 years now. New governors come in, new governors go. We don't see, is it really a policy on that? Secondly, is the auctioning what a policy of the bank, or it is a primary one that is used to make, you know, availability of cash in the market? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me start with Lulhok. He said, will we ever go back to 2012? Will you ever go back to Juba? Who was in Juba model? You?
We was in model, yeah.
Okay,
Nile
yeah.
model.
Yeah, Nile model. Will you go back there? Yes, okay. You know, in 2012, when we came, at that time, when we gained independence, we had a lot of reserve. And we fixed our exchange rate. It was fixed because we had reserve, so it was 2.96 when you go to a bank, but when you go to commercial bank, it's 3.16. That was a fixed exchange rate. 2015, when IMF came and encouraged us to, you know, it's becoming expensive to maintain that exchange rate, and also, you know, we didn't have reserve now. Because of 2013 conflict, and then now we need to find a way of how we can really do that. Of course, IMF said if we liberalize the exchange rate, will help you. So what happened was we liberalized the exchange rate to a monetary rate. It jumped out to 18, and the IMF never came back. It went from there. It has been on accelerating path until at this level. But of course, having a fixed exchange rate is also very expensive because you need to have reserve to back that. We use the oil money to back the 2.96. But then when the oil plummeted to $20 a barrel, it was not tenable now for us to continue that. So we have to float the exchange rate. Exchange rate, because now it's the market that determines. The market is the one determining the exchange rate, and it might say if we're able to diversify the economy and we're able to harness all the other resources, we might go there. You never know. Maybe in your generation, you might see that you go back to that. But yeah, if we put our resources to use properly, we might bring it down. But also, if we're exporting, it's not good to bring your rate down because all the other people who want to buy your product will shy away. They go to other people and buy from there because theirs is cheaper. Now, like in the US now the exchange rate has gone up. So the US dollar has become stronger. Now they can import commodities from anywhere they want because all the other, at some point, I think it was last year I went to Turkey, so I wanted to buy something. And I asked, how much was this? They told me it was about like 100 euros. I said, how much is that in dollars? He said, $100. At that time, the euro came down to the level of $1. So, when we put our policies correctly, we might be able to strengthen our currency, but not to that. That's one of them. But yeah, that's going on at the moment. It's just that we have not opened it to public. It's only for commercial bank at the moment. But commercial bank can still, if you have your money with a commercial bank, you can ask them to invest it on your behalf. And Emmanuel, you talked about forex bureaus. Licensing forex bureaus has become difficult. Our forex bureaus really. I had a meeting with the Association of Forex Bureaus, and I really challenged them. I said, "You are not even forex bureaus. You're only relying on auction. If we don't auction in Kenya, they don't auction, but forex bureaus are working well. Why can't you do it? Because if you're able to do what you're supposed to do, you wouldn't get these tour guys along the road here up to Pyramid there." So they are there. These guys are very clever. Somebody told me that, when these tour boys are going home, they are now determining the rate for tomorrow. So, yeah, it's true. But I challenge the forex bureaus. The board had to stop issuing new license because when we stopped the auction, what happened? All the forex bureaus went down. It's now when we started the auction is when they came back. Now, your question about whether auctioning is a policy, this is a monetary policy tool. One of the monetary policy tools to intervene in the market, to ensure that we stabilize the exchange rate. We do that by auctioning the money to commercial banks and to forexes in order to stabilize the exchange rate. But in the end, you also find that the money we give to forex don't reach really to the people. They don't reach, and we have another sitting with them. But for good news is that for microfinance, we are now working on the amendment of our act. Our Banking Act 2012 used to say it's only banks, commercial banks, but now we are going to change the name to Financial Institution Act. That will incorporate microfinance, insurance company, SACCOs, and all the other informal sector. So that one, if that one comes, you will now be able to register, to get a license from the central bank, because that is one of the requirements also for people to invest in these kinds of microfinance. They want to know that you got your license from from a renowned institution. Not only what we are doing now, you can get you can just go to Juba's Central Equatoria and get a license. So we are working on that, and sooner or later, when the act is passed, and then we start bringing you on board.
Yeah. When you talk about, I mean, the irregular dollar traders, aka as you term them, do you think they have a space in this kind of discussions?
You know, we are also thinking that because, for them, if we can just get them and, group them.
Yeah.
And develop them, they could even be a better forex bureau than anybody else. We are looking into that. These are the areas we're looking at.
Because they are not waiting for an auction. They're doing their thing.
Yeah, they're doing their things. They're not looking. So how do we use them?
Yeah.
To the benefit of for us to implement them.
And to be honest with you, they have gotten really good. Back in 5 years ago, when I go there, I exchange from them. They twist the money, then they give you another $1, then they
are very good at that. When you go back, you'll never find that person again.
But nowadays, all of them here, like, they give you the money, and it is just the exact amount. They're in front of pyramid, they're in front of, and I think they don't want to cheat you because they want you to come back.
We're really looking into ways how we can really legalize them. No, not legalizing them. I mean, to be effective, so that they can get a license. You group them together, they become a forex bureau, and they do their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. The association of. I didn't say anything. I did not say. You're the one who completed. No, he's not an attorney. The attorney guy is there. That one in the corner and this one here.
I was when we came out with this one, I was with one attorney guy was the one who was telling me, when these guys are going home, they are thinking for the raid for tomorrow. So you better find a way of getting them on board. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, we will take I'll take just 3 more questions. I don't want to keep the governor here for too long. I'll go to Atong, and then I'll come to Animu here. And then we'll take 2 more, and then we'll wrap
it up. Good evening, Governor. My name is Atongor. I sit on board of Kushbank. So I just want to follow up on something that you have mentioned when you were replying to Mr. Cherbek's question. So you were saying that the commercial banks are not lending. And we all know they're not lending. But from the perspective of the central bank, why are commercial banks not doing that? And what is the central bank doing to help or encourage that to be happening? We know that the private sector need the lending, need the trade finance to be happening. We need the commercial banks to do in their part to help the economy. But now they're not doing it. So how is it central bank forcing them or encouraging them to look into that part of their job? And is it happening soon? Is there regulations for that? Or is it just we leave it for them to do their business as usual? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor. Good evening once again. My name is Animu. I'm a women and youth development advocate. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the fintech industry and Bitcoin. Is South Sudan ready for that? I mean, I think like 4 months ago, there was the scandal with Silicon Valley. And until now, we don't know what the situation is for the people that invested their money. It turns out they have a trading license as a business, but we don't know if they have a license from the commercial bank. So what can be done by the central bank to protect South Sudanese who want to invest in that industry to be able to do it safely and securely? And is this something that the bank is looking at even while you're amending your laws?
Then we'll just pass it to the second row. The gentleman on the far end, on the far left there.
Hello. Okay, I'm Elijah Ler, an entrepreneur as for now, but I was Elijah Ler, an entrepreneur, but I was once a banker. My question will be investment banking and financial market in general, especially the security and stock exchange. I'm glad you have mentioned much about Forex and how you can bring on board these tour guys. They're the real one who are doing the real Forex in the market. But let me go back into fund manager license, as she has said. We really don't have a security exchange or a stock market in South Sudan. And we also have the fund manager license, which is also issued by the central bank in other part of the world. But In case of South Sudan, I don't know how are we operating in general when it comes to financial market.
Okay, thank you. Fund manager. Okay, there is. Are you protesting? I'm just
Thank you. You know, my name is Nelson Jacob. Um, should say I'm an economist, and I have a lot of questions in my mind, but just put two, maybe. The two are most important to me. So I'll have to start by saying, you know, the central bank adopted, like 2015, adopted the you know, the floating exchange rate. And in another, on the other hand, also, the central bank is trying to curb the inflation. And you know, when you adopt the floating exchange rate, it's like you know, you've entered into the race with this parallel market. So I want to know, like, how effective is the auctioning that the central bank is carrying on right now? Is it producing something or not? Because, you know, another thing that can surprise everyone is that I finished this year and I've been in university for 4 years, and within these 4 years, you know, the rate of my school fees like doubled by 2,112% in these 4 years. So you can see this gap. So I want to know, how effective is the policy that the central bank using now, producing something? So that's the first question. The second question, I learned that from someone, because I'm still doing my training at the Ministry of Finance. So someone told me, hey, look, you know, the central bank, they have the best training ever in the whole country. So in the Ministry of Finance, yeah, they are, you know, they train people. It's not bad. So it's actually good training there. But the period of training that they give each student does not exceed like 4 months. And you find after 4 months, the students get out of there. It's like, you know, they've gotten nothing from there. So, and the central bank also does training. So I want to know, is your training like it takes like make student, like, you know, like productive enough more than the one of central you know, Minister of Finance. So I'm sorry for just differentiating or saying, you know, something about the Minister of Finance, but that's that. I'm still at the Ministry of Finance.
We will cut this out of the clip later, don't worry. People are asking you, have been in the office for less than a year. People are asking you for all the previous years' exchange rates. I think that's a bit unfair, but...
I mean, when you are in a place, you have to answer whether it's, it wasn't you. You have to ensure that you find an answer to that. Atong, you said why a commercial bank not lending, and why? What is the central bank doing about that? There are so many. Okay, you know, before the conflicts of 2013 and 2016, you know, banks were lending. Commercial banks were lending to people, but then, you know, after that, commercial banks lost a lot of money because either, and the government also was unable now to pay salaries on time, so, you know, these are other things. And then we at the central bank tried to, which we are still insisting, that we have created something called the Credit Reference Bureau within the central bank. That we are forcing all commercial banks to be linked to it, because now if Animo wants to borrow money from Kush Bank, her name will be there in the registry, and wanted, for example, to use land as a collateral, her name will be there. And when she goes also to another bank, trying to borrow using the same, because now it's easy for me to get a replacement, you know, title deed from land here, and provided I pay something, I get replacement. I go to equity and I want to borrow, I can still use this. And this is what commercial banks really faced all this time. So by creating a credit reference bureau, once you deposit your documents with one bank, wherever you go to any banks, you will never get a loan. You have to use another collateral. And the policies that we are using is that, first of all, we are trying to build confidence that commercial banks should start lending, okay? And not only lending, because now one of the issues we say, because we are paying you interest on your term deposit, we also want you to pay interest on, depositors. Depositors, not current account, but the other accounts that are by individuals. They should also start paying interest on that, and we are going to enforce that. But the lending, there are other ways whereby maybe I keep using Kush Bank as a model of a local bank that is successful, because I'm not trying to blow your head up, but yeah, it's true. You guys are doing well, and you have even gone to Western Equatoria where you are doing agriculture, and I think you're doing your real job. If you're lending to small business people, farmers also, that is something that we commend. We really commend that highly. We will be working with the Bankers Association to ensure that commercial banks start lending. All their worries, what really is not allowing them to lend, we'll try to address it. There are also other information we hear from people that they are lending only to foreigners, not to the local. We also want to understand why they do that, and then we can correct and see that they start lending properly. But we are working on that. One of them is the Credit Reference Bureau, which I'm sure all of you should be part of it. And once the lending is started, and because now the only collateral people use here now is the title deed. There's nothing that you can use, because it's all the title deeds. So you use still title deeds, but title deeds sometimes it's not a genuine one, and sometimes you get loan on that. That's why commercial banks are really hesitant to do that. And we're planning to address that through Credit Reference Bureau. And you talked about the fintech industry. Where is she? I don't know where. Yeah, the cryptocurrency and that. What was that company called?
Silicon Valley shares.
Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley obtained a license from the Ministry of Justice, and they came to Central Bank seeking for a license. And I was like, what are you coming to do? He said, they're investing, there are people who put money and you get this. I said, isn't that the cryptocurrency you're using? First they tried to deny it, but later, they do. But if you check, I think I wrote a warning to people, something to say that not to, we refused to license them, because no commercial bank at the moment, no central bank at the moment is licensing cryptocurrencies. So in my message to advise to the people, that there is a project scheme that's going on called Silicon Valley and others, not only Silicon Valley and others, but this central bank is not able to license this because of 1, 2, 3, and we urge the people not to first of all ensure that when they're investing, they know that this company is genuine. And the company, I think, went bust down. People disappeared with all the money. So it became like a Ponzi scheme. It's not only here, but also in other countries, people did that. So as of now, we are instead looking for alternative of central bank digital currencies. That is what other countries are now investing, because we cannot, first, the cryptocurrency are not licensed. There's really no source where where this one came from. You could also be encouraging, anti-money laundering and all this. So having a digital currency, central bank digital currency, which will be like, a mirror of the local currency, but in digital form, this one needs it's a long way to go, but we are starting. We're at the research stage at the moment. Other countries like Ghana already issued, Nigeria did that. Kenya and all the other East African countries are still researching. So at the moment, we're not really licensing any crypto, currency organization that wants to practice that. So we just want the public to be careful what they're doing, because we are able to know the source of all the company and its, their activities. But we encourage fintech companies, really. I think this is a good example of what you're having here, because I was telling somebody that I don't think we have fintech companies, but I think now I see is good news for us that we have a local fintech company. In addition to Gurush also has a fintech company. Elijah, you asked about investment fund managers and others. Yeah, these are licensed in other countries. Even Kenya has it, but we still don't have, we don't have capital markets. All we do is just, we have not really, deepen our financial sector properly to enable us to engage in other activities that will, enable us. But we are looking at, we met with the Bankers Association, and we wanted to start with the kind of fund managers that they have and what they do exactly, for us to understand how we can help. Because now, I found that, working with the Bankers Association is really good, because they're able to give you ideas. You also, although you're a regulator, you don't go on them hard. They can, if you engage them, they'll give you good advice also. So that's how we are that's how our relationship is going on. So for that investment banking, currently we're only licensing investment banks. We have only one investment bank now in South Sudan here. I have about 3 other applications for investment banks, but they have not fulfilled the requirements and they're still in process. We're encouraging investment banks because they are really useful for, leveraging funds from other, institutions to bring for development. Nelson, you said central bank, adopted a floating exchange rate in 2015. It's true that because it was expensive to continue maintaining the fixed exchange rate. So it was deemed necessary then to float the exchange rate based on the advice also from partners also like the IMF. And how it turned is that, it's some sort of depreciating your currency. But if we were to export other commodities other than oil, because oil prices are fixed, this would be for us, it would be beneficial because our prices would be cheaper compared to other countries exporting the same commodity. So it is good, but for us it was, I think, done for the purpose of ensuring this, because we don't have enough reserve to allow us to maintain that fixed exchange rate. That's why it was floated. And now what we are doing currently is just to manage the the stability of the currency, but not really to look into how things are, the nitty-gritty of it. But we are trying, by these auctions and others, we are trying to stabilize the exchange rate, but not the commodity prices. And you talked of how effective is the auction. The auction is actually just to stabilize that exchange rate, because we don't have enough reserve. We are, the convergence rate for the East African community is that you should have a reserve of 4.5 months of import. But because of inflation, all the countries have fallen short of that. All the East African countries have fallen short of that. They don't have that. So this is something we need to diversify and ensure that we build a reserve for us to be, this is supposed to happen by 2025, whereby we have the reserve requirement for the whole of East Africa.
Do we have gold, whatever, I don't know what, gold stuff, gold reserve?
Gold, gold is really not utilized. It's being, smuggled out, but really we need an investment that can bring gold out and
refine it,
and it becomes part of the reserve.
Because Sudan is doing very good.
Sudan is going. Other countries are now using. A lot of countries are now going to gold reserve. You know, a lot of countries, even Russia, having with all this their currency, they have the largest gold reserve. You know, the Russian central bank. So that's what we need to do also for us here.
So now we don't have even a single ring of gold.
We have some gold dust. In the yeah. You talk about training. You know, I don't know whether you mean training or you mean attachment after graduation or when you are doing your studies.
I think he's talking of attachment after graduation.
Yeah, because you are doing attachment with the Ministry of Finance. Huh? Okay.
Because the bank has a training institution, I think, a training arm.
Yeah, we have a training department, but also, you know, when like the new people who are coming, we ensure that they are trained in all the areas of the central bank before we assign them to specific areas. They are trained but then, you know, training is a continuous process. It's not just, as you said, you train for 4 months and that's all. We have also, we're using other tools also, like online training from IMF, you know, we're working with the region when there's any training offered to all the region. We also utilize that when, you know, we do train our staff well to ensure that they master what they're supposed to do. So if you're today transferred to research and statistics, you know what you're going to do there. If you're transferred to currency, you know how to plan, you know what the forecast, how much money you need so that you run out of local currency. You do all this, you know. Yeah. So that's all. Thank you.
Governor Damian Ohisa, thank you so much for coming and spending the evening with us. Thank you, everyone.
You know, I was starting to enjoy, but I have to go.
I was even enjoying, but
I would love to come again if there is a chance. Yeah.
I think it would be really nice to come again and interact with the youth here.
I just hope that once we go live with the national payment system, and then we can come and talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.